After losing her father, a little girl revealed the unexpected love of a millionaire single dad. Lily's heart felt like 1,000 pieces of broken glass. Just months after losing her father, a daring firefighter who ran into the flames while everyone else ran away, she found herself trapped in a tangled web of sorrow and longing. Fridays were especially hard. That was their adventure day, filled with giggles, ice cream, and stories about brave heroes that Dad always told. Now, those memories echoed like faint whispers in her mind, mixing with the emptiness of evenings spent staring out the window, wishing she could see him walk back through the door one more time. In their modest home, her mother fought ghosts of her own, bills piling high, worry lines deeply etched on her face, and whispers of despair casting shadows in the corners of rooms. Every day was a struggle, but Lily tried to keep it together. School assignments felt pointless, especially after her teacher handed her a project on role models. Who would she choose? A movie star? A singer? None of it felt right. Then, Lily's eyes caught an article about Jack, a reclusive millionaire tech mogul. His enormous privilege felt like another world, crafted with gadgets and luxuries, light years away from her small-town reality. But as she read on, she learned that even he had experienced deep loss. His wife, an unwavering community servant, had passed away. Jack now spent his days hidden away, avoiding the world that had once brought him joy. Just as the project took a more profound turn in her heart, Jack decided to volunteer at her school, aiming to honor his late wife in a way he never had before. They met for the first time in a quiet classroom. Their eyes met, and the air shimmered with unspoken words. Lily clutched her project, heart racing, unsure if she should trust this man of wealth and silence. He seemed so distant, yet somehow familiar. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the days rolled on, something miraculous began to unfold. Beneath the shadows of shared pain, laughter bubbled up between them. Jack's guarded heart softened as Lily chimed in with tales only children could conjure. Together, they created the most imaginative stories: an explorer discovering a planet made of candy, a brave knight on a rainbow-colored dragon. Each moment melted away the icy discomfort that had enveloped them both. However, whispers from the community wound their way through the hallways. Rumors painted Jack as cold and unapproachable, a millionaire detached from the struggles of regular folks. Lily felt the burn of those judgments, but stood tall. He's a good person, she defended fiercely, vision blurring with tears. Her courage ignited debates among parents and teachers, and showed everyone that character had nothing to do with wealth, but the true test lay ahead. Beneath the sprawling oak tree where Lily once played, they both faced their greatest fears together. Jack had to decide if he would fight through his grief or retreat into the shadow of loneliness. With Lily looking up at him, her eyes wide and hopeful, the weight of the moment hung palpable in the air. Just when she thought they had breached every wall, a thunderstorm approached, challenging them both to confront the real storms that raged within. Would they find shelter together or be swept away? The storm clouds loomed overhead, dark and heavy, as the wind began to pick up. Lily felt it whip around her, rustling the leaves of the ancient oak. Jack's expression shifted, a mixture of anxiety and resolve crossing his face. She could feel the tension in the air, almost electric, and it mirrored the storm brewing above. Jack started, his voice barely above a whisper, as if the weight of his own emotions was too much to bear. I want you to know that all of this means more to me than I can express. I never thought I would connect with anyone again after Sarah. Lily felt a lump form in her throat. She remembered her father's strong arms hugging her tightly, always making her feel safe. Now, she wanted to provide that same warmth to Jack. She stepped closer, pressing her small hand against his, as if their touch could bridge the chasm of their shared grief. I miss my dad too, she admitted, her voice steady despite the tears threatening to spill. But sometimes it feels like we can keep their spirits alive by talking about them. By remembering what we loved. Jack looked down at their intertwined hands, his frown softening into something gentler. You're right. I've been so focused on my loss that I forgot how to celebrate her life. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning sliced through the sky, illuminating the world around them for a heartbeat. The thunder rumbled like a snarling beast, and Lily instinctively squeezed Jack's hand. We should get inside, she urged, but neither of them moved. They were caught in that moment, a connection anchored by shared sorrow and the promise of new beginnings. As the first raindrops splashed against the ground, Jack let out a shaky breath. What if I just stayed closed off? What if I couldn't find my way back to the world? His blue eyes were stormy with uncertainty, mirroring the tempest above. Lily looked up at him, so much smaller, yet filled with a surprising strength. You can't hide forever, Jack. What if your wife wouldn't want that for you? She'd want you to be happy. And we need to let our lost ones live on through us, don't you think? He blinked, taken aback by her words, letting them sink in. It was as if she had uncovered a piece of him he was afraid to show. It scared him, yet it also felt liberating that a sudden rush of rain poured from the heavens, soaking them in a matter of seconds. Jack laughed, a sound so unexpectedly joyous that it broke through the gloomy weather. Guess we're in for a wild ride now, he said, glancing down at Lily, whose laughter echoed his own. They ran beneath the shelter of the oak, but it wouldn't keep them dry for long. The storm raged on, water pounding against the earth like a heartbeat. In that shared laughter, they found solace. Jack began to share stories about Sarah, memories that shimmered with love, and Lily listened intently. His laughter pushed away some of the dark clouds that loomed in his heart. Yet, as they found comfort in tales of the past, an uncomfortable truth loomed, a question neither wanted to face. Could their bond survive outside of this moment? Would the world accept them for who they were, amid stories of a millionaire and a grieving child? The rain finally began to lighten, but their journey was anything but clear. As they emerged from their small shelter, Jack hesitated, standing at the threshold of the world beyond. What comes next? He asked, the vulnerability in his voice unmistakable. Lily squeezed his hand tighter, her heart racing again, realizing that how they moved forward depended on them both. Just as they took a step from under the tree, the sun peeked through the clouds, creating a colorful arc across the sky, a promise, perhaps, of brighter days ahead. But just when it seemed they could face everything together, a car horn interrupted them, sending both their hearts racing. Jack's face froze in recognition. That's my assistant. She has been trying to reach me. In that moment, Lily's heart dropped. Was this the point where everything changed? Would the world pull Jack back into his bubble of solitude? Would she lose this connection just as it was beginning to blossom? The storm had passed, but another battle loomed ahead. Jack, she whispered, her grip tightening on his hand. What are we going to do next? Jack turned his head, his expression shifting again as he looked toward the car idling at the edge of the winding path. For a moment, he was trapped between the joy they had just shared and the reality of the world outside. The car's engine hummed softly, a reminder of responsibilities that had been momentarily forgotten in the recent storm. Give me just a second, okay? He said, his voice carrying a hint of urgency. He released Lily's hand, but not before she felt a rush of disappointment at the loss of connection. As he walked towards the car, she watched him, a mixture of concern and hope swirling inside her. Jack, she called out, feeling a pull toward him that she couldn't quite explain. He turned, a small twitch of a smile hiding beneath the seriousness in his eyes. I don't want you to go back to being alone, she admitted, her vulnerability spilling over. I want to keep talking about Sarah. I want to keep talking about our dads. You're not alone anymore. His brow furrowed slightly, wrestling with something deep inside. With a sigh, he glanced back toward the approaching vehicle. It felt like an anchor, holding him back from venturing into the unknown where Lily waited, the brightness that had come along with the rain. Lily, he said, his voice tinged with an edge of despair, I don't know how to be both, how to live in the past and still embrace the present. What if I don't make the right choice? Then you make it together, she replied, her tone confident and steady. You can reach for both. You taught me that. It's okay to remember. It's okay to feel. He studied her, wrestling with the weight of her words. Just then, the passenger door opened, and his assistant, Claire, stepped out, dressed in sleek office attire, her face a mixture of concern and surprise. "Jack, I was so worried. You weren't answering your phone," she called out, oblivious to the moment shared between Jack and Lily. Jack turned back to Lily, their intense moment broken by the rush of reality. His heart was racing, and the warm connection they had formed in the storm felt fragile against the starkness of the outside world. "I'll be right back," he promised, stepping closer to her, urgency in his stride. "We'll talk more, I swear." Lily nodded, trying to mask her anxiety as she watched him retreat. Could this moment of deep emotional bonding break apart as quickly as it had come? The sight of him with Claire felt unsettling, like a shadow creeping back into the sunlight they had only just stepped into. Jack approached his assistant, who wasted no time delivering a stream of information about meetings and forgotten documents. The words barely pierced through Jack's mind, his focus still locked onto Lily's worried expression. "I need 5 minutes," he interrupted, holding up a hand. "Let me have a moment." Claire paused, surprise flashing on her face before she nodded, a tinge of confusion lingering. As she stepped back, Jack turned to look back at Lily, who stood beneath the oak, the golden sunlight glinting off her wet hair. He felt torn. His heart was pulled in 2 directions, and his foundations were shifting beneath him. "Lily," he called, taking the few steps back to her. "Would you, like to come with me? Just for a little while? I can't let this moment slip away." Lily's eyes sparkled, hope igniting within. "Really? You want to?" Jack nodded, swallowing hard. "Yeah, I think we have more to talk about, more to share." And maybe he hesitated, glancing at the retreating storm clouds. "Maybe I can learn how to juggle this all." "Together," she chimed, and he felt a warmth spread through him, stronger than before. With that simple word, reality faded for just that moment, and Jack sensed the path ahead was filled with uncertainties, but it also held the promise of connection and growth. As they began to walk toward the car, a subtle breeze rustled through the leaves, and Jack felt a spark of courage ignite inside as he turned back to Claire, ready to embrace whatever came next. But then, before he reached the passenger door, a realization hit him. Something he had never fully understood. What if I was holding back too much of myself? What if, and as those thoughts raced through his mind, the sunny sweetness of hope faltered slightly? Would he be strong enough to let her in, to not only remember Sarah, but also open his heart again? The weight of that question hung between them like the gathering thunder from before. With the door open, Jack knew the moment ahead would shape everything. "Stay close," he said, uncertainly looking back. "Always," Lily replied, her grip on his hand firm once more. But as the car pulled away, both were unaware of the storm still forming in the distance, one that threatened to test the delicate bond they had just begun to weave. Would they weather the next tempest together? The car glided smoothly down the winding road, the trees rushing by like memories, both vivid and elusive. Jack felt the weight of Lily's presence next to him, a warmth that wrapped around his heart even as he stared blankly out the window. He could feel her energy, a vibrant buzz that filled the silence in the car with something almost tangible. "Jack." Lily's voice broke through his thoughts, soft but steady. "Are you okay?" He turned to her, and for just a moment, he sighed, letting the tension leak away. "Yeah, just lost in thought, I guess." He forced a smile, but he could see the unsureness in her eyes. "We don't have to talk about anything serious," she offered gently. "We can just enjoy the ride." He admired her ability to lighten the mood. Jack nodded, the corners of his mouth twitching up again. "I do like that." As they drove, the scenery began to shift, the lush green of the trees giving way to open fields under a tranquil sky. Yet beneath the calm, Jack felt turmoil brewing inside him. The weight of expectation, his own or others, settled heavily on his chest. How could he let go of his past and still honor it? "What are you thinking about?" Lily pressed, her curiosity genuine. "What if everything gets too complicated?" He murmured, his mind racing through worst-case scenarios. "What if I let you down? Or worse, what if you regret getting close to me?" "Jack," she said, her voice low and sincere. "Life is complicated, but being close to you feels right. No regrets so far." He balled his fists on his knees, trying to ground himself. He couldn't afford to scare her off, but how could he be sure that he'd be enough? Suddenly, the car hummed to a stop. Jack looked up, startled. "What's wrong?" Claire, who had quietly been observing from the front seat, turned around, Concern etched across her features. Just wanted a break. Thought you two might like to stretch your legs. Without hesitation, Lily undid her seatbelt, her enthusiasm contagious. Let us, she exclaimed, practically bouncing from the car. Jack followed, still feeling weighed down. The air was fresh, a sweet reminder of the rain before. Nature enveloped them. It felt like an escape. As they walked a little way into the open, Jack's heart began to beat in time with the rustling of leaves, the chirping birds, and the soft whisper of the wind. Look at that, Lily exclaimed, pointing to a distant hill, a small cabin with its wooden walls glowing in the sunlight. Let us go check it out. Lily, wait, Jack called after her, uneasy. What if it's private property or something? But she was already skipping ahead, leaving him little choice but to follow. Just as he caught up, they both reached a small clearing, and as they approached the cabin, something pulled at Jack, a serious domesticity he had long buried beneath the surface. I used to imagine living in places like this when I was a kid, he admitted, his voice laced with nostalgia. Just me, Sarah, and Dad. Those were the good times. As the words fell from his lips, an uncomfortable quiet followed. Lily turned, her expression shifting immediately with concern. Do you want to talk about it? He hesitated. Sometimes it feels easier to keep it inside, he confessed. But he could see her watching, sensing his struggle, and it made him long to share. Talking it out might be what you need, she suggested softly, her hand reaching out to touch his arm. For an instant, Jack was adrift, a swell of emotion that made him want to spill everything. But then doubt crept in again, brittle and heavy. Would the risk of vulnerability push her away? Before he could respond, a low rumble broke through the serenity surrounding them. They both looked up, eyes widening as dark clouds rolled in overhead, heavy and foreboding. Jack, Lily said, her voice the calm in the storm. Whatever happens, I'm with you. His heart raced at her affirmation, but the uncertainty loomed. Would he allow himself to embrace that connection? Or would the fear of his past come crashing down, taking what little light was left in their budding relationship? As the first drops of rain began to fall, it felt like nature itself held its breath, waiting for Jack to make a choice that could change everything. Would he dive into the storm and open his heart, or turn away and retreat back to the safety of solitude? Lily, he began, but the words stuck in his throat. Would he be brave enough to go where the rain led him? Jack felt the first cool drop of rain hit his cheek, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of heat and anxiety swirling in his chest. He tried to focus on Lily's calm voice, anchoring him in the chaos, but all he could think was how badly he wanted to be the man she believed him to be. The storm was closing in, but it was the storm brewing inside him that truly terrified him. Jack, she stepped closer, her eyes wide with concern. There's nothing to worry about, okay? You can talk to me about anything. He looked into her eyes, searching for a way forward, but only finding a mirror reflecting his own fears. Every instinct screamed at him to hide, to hold the hurt inside one more day. But there was an urge deep, pulsating, urging him to take the leap. What if I told you, he began slowly, his heart thrumming like a drum, that I grew up in a world that didn't quite fit me. I've spent years trying to chase an image of myself that I thought would make everyone proud. His voice cracked slightly. Lily's expression softened, and she positioned herself fully in front of him. You're not alone in that, Jack. We all have pasts. She hesitated, her own memories battling behind her eyes. I do too. That's the thing, he said, his pulse racing. I feel like I'm sinking into those pasts. I don't want to drag you down with me. A low rumble of thunder echoed across the sky as another splash of rain fell upon them. But he didn't notice. He was lost in Lily's gaze, the world around them fading. Each heartbeat felt like a muted roar, bringing clarity and chaos in equal measure. But what if you let me help you float? She asked gently. We can weather the storm together, can't we? Her sincerity clawed at something deep within him. He wanted to believe her, to grasp onto her words like a lifeline. A thin veil of vulnerability began to lift, just enough to let the light inside. It's hard for me. I'm so afraid of what could happen if I open up. Open up anyway. Her voice was a whisper now, encouraging and steady. Open up even when you're afraid. Jack's heart twisted at her words. They both felt the weight of unspoken truths, of burdens they carried silently. It was then that he realized how craved authenticity was, how each moment of honesty could replace fear with something new and beautiful. Lily stepped even closer, feeling the rain pour heavier around them, soaking them both. Tell me what you really want, Jack. At that fleeting moment, all the pressures, the expectations, the fear of judgment, the weight of his past seemed to dissolve into the falling rain. He remembered that little boy who dreamed of a simple life in a cabin like the one nearby, who wanted warmth and love more than anyone or anything else in the world. I want to be brave, Lily, he confessed, his voice cutting through the thunder. I want to let you in, not just into this moment, but into all the messy pieces of me. Hope surged as he felt the honest weight of his admission settle between them. Would she understand? Would she stay? Her smile was bright, cutting through the rain as she reached for his hand. Then let us be brave together, one step at a time. As they stood there, rain-soaked and trembling on the edge of something profound, Jack felt a flicker of fire ignite within him. Maybe letting go, despite the risk, meant opening the door to what really mattered. But just as exhilaration surged, another flash of lightning lit the sky, illuminating the cabin, a reminder that storms were unpredictable. Jack! Lily shouted over the wind as chaos erupted around them. We need to get inside. Panic clawed at him once more, but now, instead of retreating, he found himself taking her hand. They rushed toward the cabin, hope rousing in his chest even as uncertainty loomed larger. Would this be the place that offered shelter not just from the storm, but from all they carried within? As they stepped toward the cabin, Jack realized he was approaching a threshold, one that promised everything, yet it felt daunting. What awaited them inside? Could it lead to the love and connection he so desperately craved? They burst through the door of the cabin, water cascading off their clothes like a curtain of tiny diamonds. The air inside was warm and sweet, the smell of wood and earth enveloping them like a comforting blanket. The storm raged outside, but within these walls, Jack felt a flicker of safety. Lily's breath came in quick gasps, her eyes wide with excitement and concern. Are you okay? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if afraid to shatter the peace. Jack leaned against the door, trying to catch his breath. His heart still raced, but it was fueled by something different now. The storm outside matched the whirlwind within him, yet in this intimate space, he felt the first stirrings of clarity. I think so, he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. It's just everything's happening so fast. He took a moment, letting the weight of her presence settle. But I feel different here. With you. She stepped closer, her fingers lacing with his, grounding him. That's good. Sometimes, facing the storm is the only way to find out what you're really made of, she said softly. He glanced at the window, watching the rain blur the world outside. Suddenly, the storm felt less daunting. The realization sank in that maybe they could share not just the beautiful moments, but also the messy ones together. Lily shifted her weight nervously. So, tell me more about being brave. What does that mean for you? He swallowed hard, searching for the right words. I guess it means letting someone see the real me. The parts one keep hidden out of fear. The memory of his childhood stung like a fresh wound. It's tough, you know? Fear of being too much or too little. Jack, you're already so much, she interjected, her expression earnest. Bravery doesn't mean being fearless. It's about acknowledging your fears and still moving forward. Her words hung in the air, and he felt an urge to unravel the deep layers of his past. I never felt like I belonged anywhere. My dad, his throat constricted, memories clouding his thoughts. He was always pushing me to be better, to fit into this perfect mold. But I pushed back. I thought if I fought against it long enough, I could break free. Jack watched as a shadow flickered across her face, an understanding in her eyes. She shared a glimpse of her own hurt, as if they were two souls entwined in a shared dance of vulnerability. And now? She asked softly. Now I'm just trying to find my way. I want to embrace whatever is real, whatever allows me to love and be loved. The storm rumbled outside, but here, in this moment, Jack didn't feel lost anymore. With every word he shared, he unraveled a piece of himself, and in turn, felt something in his heart begin to stitch back together. Lily squeezed his hand, her compassion wrapping around him like her embrace. I just want you to know you don't have to do this alone, Jack. I'm here, and I want to understand every part of you. He felt dizzy, caught between past shadows and hopeful whispers in the present. But what if I'm not who you expect? Who you are is exactly what I want, she replied firmly, her gaze unwavering. As the rain drummed against the roof, a silence enveloped them, not one of uncertainty, but of shared courage. Jack's heart swelled with a fierce longing. The connection they were building was scary, yet beautiful. But at that moment, a loud crash of thunder boomed outside, startling them both. Jack couldn't help but think of life's unpredictability, and just how hard it was to trust. What if we can't weather all the storms? He whispered, doubt creeping in. But what if we can? She replied, her voice resonating like thunder in his heart. Jack caught her gaze, feeling the weight of her question hang in the air between them. In that split second, he sensed everything was on the brink of change. What would they face next as the storm continued outside? Would their newfound honesty hold strong against what awaited them? Jack's heart raced with a mix of fear and hope. He squeezed Lily's hand tighter, feeling the warmth of her skin against his, grounding him amidst the chaos of emotions swirling inside him like the storm outside. The wind howled louder, rattling the windows, and for a moment, he closed his eyes, imagining the world outside scattering. In that imagined chaos, Lily's presence was a steady anchor. Jack, look at me, she said, her voice slicing through the discomfort. He opened his eyes to find her searching his face, those vibrant blue irises brimming with clarity. We can't predict what's going to happen, but we can choose to face it together. Her words ignited something within him, a flicker of courage. I want that, he admitted, his voice almost a whisper. I want to believe it. Lily's smile lit up the dim cabin, and he felt a warmth spread from his heart to the tips of his fingers. It felt good, no, right to want something more than fear. Let us not just survive the storm, Jack, she said, brushing a damp strand of hair behind her ear. Let us thrive. Let us create a future that reflects who we truly are. He inhaled deeply, the air thick with the scent of cedar and earth. What if we're still learning? What if we make mistakes? Learning is part of the journey, she replied, her voice steady and reassuring. Trust me, I've made my own share of mistakes. All we can do is try. He searched her face for signs of uncertainty, but there was none. She was genuine, a beacon of light amid the shadows lurking within him. Suddenly, the power flickered and went out, plunging them into darkness. Jack felt a pang of panic, but Lily's fingers tightened around his, and he took a breath. Is this a sign? No, she laughed softly, the sound bright even in the pitch black. It's just a storm, and honestly, I think it adds to the atmosphere. Their laughter echoed in the dark, and Jack felt the unease melt away. Maybe they were on the brink of something beautiful, a new chapter waiting to unfold if only they let it. As they sat together in the silence, illuminated only by the occasional flash of lightning, Jack's mind wandered to the possibilities before them. A future built on trust and courage. What do we do if the storm doesn't pass? He asked, a more pressing fear creeping in. She paused for a moment, contemplating his question. Then we weather it. Together. That simple phrase resonated deep within him, igniting a flicker of hope he hadn't realized he had buried. We could go on a scavenger hunt, she suggested playfully. Find things in the cabin that remind us of our dreams. Like what? He asked, curious. Like a book you've wanted to read, or a letter to your future self. Anything that carries a piece of you, she encouraged, her smile infectious. He chuckled, feeling lighter. All right, I'm in. Jack stood up carefully, still mindful of the dark. He moved cautiously, feeling around the cabin in search of meaningful artifacts. When his fingers brushed against something solid, a small wooden box, he pulled it out. What is it? Lily asked, her curiosity evident. Not sure yet, but it feels special. As he opened the box, the light from a sudden flash of lightning illuminated the contents. Inside lay a collection of old photographs, memories frozen in time. Wow, these look ancient. His heart raced as he recognized a younger version of himself in one photo, eyes bright with mischief and joy. I think this is your past calling, Lily teased. What do you see? He picked up the photo, tracing the edges with his thumb. For the first time in years, he felt a connection, a bridge between who he was and who he could become. Just a boy full of dreams, he said softly as something shifted within him. Lily leaned closer, her intrigue evident. What dreams? He met her gaze, determination sparking anew. The dream of belonging, of love and adventure. A family. With the storm still howling outside, Jack felt vulnerable yet unafraid. They had opened a door, and he was ready to step through. But just as he began to share more, a loud crash resounded outside, the sound vibrating through the walls. Jack's heart dropped. What was that? Lily stiffened beside him, eyes widening. I don't know, but we should check it out. The tension in the air thickened, fear creeping in again. Jack felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. Was this storm merely a test of their connection, or was it something more? With a shared glance, they took a step towards the storm outside, knowing they had built a fragile bond in the dark. The real test awaited them, and they were determined to face it together. What would they find when they opened the door to the outside world? Would their courage hold strong against whatever awaited them? Jack opened the door with a creak that seemed amplified by the storm's fury outside. Rain lashed against the ground, creating a symphony of chaos, and flashes of lightning illuminated the night. The winds tossed branches wildly, painting eerie shadows on the cabin's walls. Are you ready? He whispered, turning to Lily, whose face briefly caught the light. Her expression was a mix of bravery and uncertainty, but it showed a determination that ignited Jack's own. Always, she replied, her voice steady despite the tempest. They stepped into the world beyond, the air electric with tension. Rain soaked their clothes in an instant, but it also washed away the remnants of doubt. Together, they moved toward the source of the crash, courage inching forward like the rising tide. A moment later, they reached the edge of the forest nearby. Pieces of a broken branch littered the ground, and Jack's heart sank. Just a tree, not something worse. Lily let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. We're okay, Jack. It's just nature. He nodded, but the unease lingered. As they stood in the darkness, the wind howled around them like a specter. The forest felt alive, whispering secrets and fears that danced on the edge of their hearts. What if there's more? He blurted, panic clawing at his insides. What if it's not just a storm? Lily took a step closer, fingers wrapping tightly around his again. Whatever it is, we'll face it. Together, remember? Her reassurance calmed him slightly, but doubt still fluttered in his stomach. You've got me thinking, what if this storm is a metaphor for everything we've been avoiding? The gap between them and uncertainty shrank. Maybe, Lily acknowledged, her gaze fixed on the stormy horizon. But think of it this way, storms don't last forever. They pass, and they often bring clarity. Just then, another crash echoed nearby, much louder this time. A jagged bolt of lightning stabbed the sky, momentarily illuminating a strange figure silhouetted amidst the trees. Jack's breath caught. Was it just his imagination playing tricks in the electric light, or was it something more? Do you see that? He asked, motioning toward the shadow. Yes, I do. Lily's voice trembled slightly. Should we check it out? Is that wise? Jack hesitated. What's the alternative? Standing here in fear? If it's something scary, we have each other to lean on. Remember, they stepped forward, hearts racing, both from the storm and the thrill of the unknown. Each footfall felt heavy, yet alive with possibility. As they neared the figure, Jack's heart drummed in a chaotic rhythm. Hello? He called out, hoping confidence would maintain their connection. Silence stretched as the figure shifted slightly, barely visible in the dim light. Are you all right? Lily's voice cut through the tension like a ray of sunshine. Just then, the night seemed to hold its breath. A rustle came from the trees, and suddenly, the figure stepped closer, revealing itself in the flash of lightning. Jack's heart raced in disbelief as he recognized the face, torn and weary, yet familiar. Dad! Lily gasped beside him. Jack, is that really him? In that moment, unexpected emotions crashed over Jack like waves. Was this reunion real? Or just a delusion brought on by the storm? What are you doing here? He managed, voice cracking. His father could only stare back, eyes full of sorrow and an unknown pain. I never meant to leave. As the storm raged on, everything they thought they knew began to unravel. Jack felt torn between his love for his father and the years of hurt that had built a divide. But through the chaos, one question took root in his mind, demanding to be answered. Could they rebuild what once was in a world filled with so much uncertainty? As they stood drenched in rain, Jack faced one of the hardest choices of his life, teetering on the edge of reconciliation and heartbreak. What happens next could redefine everything he'd ever believed about family and forgiveness, or tear them apart for good. Would he take that leap of faith? Jack's heart hammered wildly against his chest as he processed the sight before him. The storm seemed to fade into the background, replaced by the thunderous roar of emotions spilling out from years of unanswered questions. What do you mean you never meant to leave? His voice was a mix of anger and confusion, fighting to hold back tears. His father, shivering under the relentless rain, took a hesitant step forward. I thought it was for the best. I thought you'd be better off. Each word seemed coated in regret, heavy with the burden of past choices. Lily stood frozen, her eyes darting between Jack and his father, absorbing every detail of the tense reunion. She took a step beside Jack, offering a subtle squeeze of encouragement. You left him, just like that? She pressed gently, her expression fierce but compassionate. It wasn't he, just me. His father's voice faltered, and he shifted uncomfortably. Things got complicated, and I didn't know how to stay. I thought I'd protect you both by staying away. Jack's gut twisted. Protect? Or abandon? It spilled out before he could stop it. The anger he'd bottled up for years threatened to explode. He turned to Lily, needing her support. He wasn't there when we needed him. Maybe I didn't deserve to come back, his father lamented, voice breaking. But I'm here now, Jack. I want to fix this. I'm so sorry. Caught in the torrential downpour, Jack's heart battled between a past filled with hurt and a flicker of hope for a future that seemed too fragile. You think sorry is enough? Years of silence, and then you just show up? How am I supposed to believe you? His words came out heated, desperation boiling to the surface. Believe in what? Lily interjected, her gaze softening with understanding. That he wants to change? That he wants you back in his life? She glanced at Jack, knowing this was more than just about them. You have to decide if you'll let him. It's your choice. Jack felt the weight of those words wrap around him. Could he really let this man back in? The thought sent shivers down his spine. Everything felt raw, like an open wound in the middle of a storm. Jack, his father's voice broke through the turmoil. Please, I've missed so much of your life. I just want a chance to be part of it again. Tears mingled with the rain on his cheek, and Jack felt a knot form in his throat that a brief silence enveloped them, punctuated only by the surrounding chaos of the storm. Jack took a deep breath, contemplating the fragile boundary between revenge and forgiveness. Could he let go of the past and open his heart to make room for something new? I don't know if I can just forget everything, he finally said, a shiver echoing through him. Maybe you don't have to forget, Lily suggested. But what if you could learn together instead? Her words were a beacon, illuminating the darkness that surrounded them. As Jack stood torn between anger and the longing for connection, the storm began to wane. A ray of muted light pierced the clouds, hinting at an end to the chaos. But could he navigate this new territory with an open heart, or would the storm within him rage on? As hope flickered and doubt lingered, Jack knew he stood on a precipice. What would be the choice that echoed through his life? Would he take the risk to rebuild the shattered pieces, or would he turn his back on the possibility of healing? The answer loomed like a dark cloud overhead, waiting to burst. The rain began to subside, creating puddles that reflected fading flashes of lightning. Jack stood there, his heart racing, the smell of wet earth filling the air, mingling with the bittersweet memories that crashed against him like waves. I just need to understand how this even happened, he breathed, searching for something in his father's eyes, something anchoring amid the chaos of storm and emotions. I was scared, his dad finally replied, vulnerability spilling over. Scared of failing you both. I thought stepping away would keep you safe, but I was wrong. The intensity of the moment amplified as Jack's heart thudded loudly in his chest, wrestling with the gravity of the words being shared. He could hear Lily's steady breath beside him, reminding him that he didn't have to face this battle alone. But can we build from this? Jack asked, each word deliberate and heavy. Can we really fix what you broke? Lily glanced sideways at him, a supportive squeeze of her hand reassuring him that whatever came next, he wouldn't be alone. Gaze maintained on his father, Jack's resolve hardened. I don't want this to be a fleeting conversation during a storm. I promise, his father replied, emotion wrestling in his voice. I want to be there for you, to show you that I can be better this time. The weight of that promise hung in the air between them, fragile yet powerful. Each heartbeat echoed the possibilities that lay ahead, even amid the turbulent storm clouds swirling inside Jack. He had built up walls around his heart, but now they trembled, ready to crack. Then let us start over, Jack said, his voice gaining strength. But understand, I won't forget instantly. It will take time. I understand, his father replied earnestly. I'll do whatever it takes. Jack closed his eyes for a second, letting the rain wash away fragments of anger and resentment he had held onto for far too long. The storm inside was still raging, but there was also a newfound sense of hope blooming. Together, Lily reminded them, her voice penetrating the quiet moment, candlelight in the darkness. Yeah, together, Jack echoed, sharing a grateful glance with her. His father stepped closer, shadows of remorse still lingering, but a glint of hope illuminated his eyes. Let us talk more, he suggested, glancing up at the sky where the storm clouds were beginning to break apart, revealing patches of blue. For the first time in years, Jack felt the stirrings of warmth as he saw a path where fear could transform into trust if they faced it together. As they turned to walk away from the mess of the storm, Jack glanced back at the trees. It's funny how storms can shake things up and reveal what really matters. Exactly, Lily chimed, optimism coloring her words. Sometimes the storm clears the air, gives us clarity. We just have to embrace the change. Jack paused, words curling in his stomach like spring blossoms pushing through the winter soil. I think I was too afraid of what I might lose that I forgot I could choose to welcome what I might gain. Looking at both of them, he unexpectedly experienced a rush grief and sadness starting to disband, like rain dissolving in sunlight. Let us create a new chapter, one filled with understanding and care. His father nodded, the weight of time and distance no longer defining their relationship, but rather an opportunity for healing. Together, we'll make it right, I promise. Lily's laughter burst forth unexpectedly, a joyful sound that felt like sunlight breaking through the clouds. And who knows, maybe this storm was just our starting point. As they stood there, rain ceasing and the sun peeking through, Jack felt the chains of loneliness slacken. It felt right to embrace vulnerability, to allow himself to feel warmth and connection again. And suddenly, everything clicked into place. A new beginning waited just beyond the storm, ripe with possibilities where fear could coexist with hope. Let us go home, he said, the words carrying the weight of promise, hope, and laughter, intertwining their paths ahead. Together, they stepped forward towards the cabin, into a future where storms could be weathered and love could flourish. Home transformed, hearts began to heal. Now, if you found your heart swelling with connection to this story, this is your moment. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive tales that tug at your soul. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Come on, let us spread the love. Comment below with your thoughts. How did this journey resonate with you? Let voices of change echo loud and clear.